Over 330 changes, fixes, and additions. 330! Update 2.3 isn't just the biggest patch Hunt Showdown's ever seen, it's a statement. Crytek is serious about making 2025 the year Hunt gets back on track and becomes the game it truly deserves to be. From gunplay adjustments and gameplay tweaks, to trait changes and a massive wave of fixes, we're breaking down every single detail. So buckle up, Hunters. I'll try to make this as quick as possible, because this one's gonna be a doozy. Alright, let's start with the big one. Silencers. Crytek has reduced the base damage of all silencers by 10%, compared to their non-silenced counterparts. Here's how it breaks down for a few of the weapons. 1865 Carbine got reduced from 145 to 130. Bornheim Silencer from 74 to 66. Centennial Shorty Silencer from 120 to 107. Frontier Silencer from 110 to 98. Krag Silencer from 126 to 113. Maynard Sniper Silencer from 144 to 128. Nagant Silencer from 91 to 81. Sparks Pistol Silencer from 149 to 133. Spark Silencer from 149 to 133. And Vetterli Silencer reduced from 130 to 117. This change aims to balance stealth a bit better, upping the cost of silence in the game. So if you've been using a silence loadout, you might feel a bit of a difference. But don't worry, you'll still be sneaky. It just might cost you a bit more. Yes, the devs are saying stealth has a price now. Literally. Next up, bad news for hand crossbow fans. The revive bolts have been removed. Yep, that's right. They've been completely pulled from inventories and loadouts. But don't worry, if you had any revive bolts, Crytek's refunded them for you. After extensive internal testing, they found the revive bolt didn't meet expectations. They will explore better support options for players in future updates. Crossbow shot bolt ammo penetration. The shot bolt ammo no longer goes through extremely thick trees, and the shotgun pellet spread when penetrating has been slightly reduced. Officer carbine deadeye recoil has been reduced, making it a bit easier to handle. New Army and Scotfield pistols. These pistols now have a normalized selection speed to match other pistols in the game. Long ammo rifle spread adjustments. The spread values on a few long ammo rifles have been adjusted to make them more consistent. Berthier from 47.5 to 42.5. Labelle from 40 to 30. Martini from 42.5 to 40. And Sparks from 35 to 30. Some specific rifles got some targeted changes as well. Berthier 1892 damage increased from 130 to 133, and the recoil reduced from 14 to 12. Mosin Oberez damage reduced from 130 to 126. The muzzle velocity reduced 550 meters a second to 520. Centennial ADS cycle time with the Ironite trait has increased from 1.3 seconds to 1.4 seconds. Vetterli 71 cycle time improved from 1.8 seconds to 1.7 seconds, and ADS cycle time with Ironite trait improved from 1.4 seconds to 1.3 seconds. They also slightly increased recoil for the Cyclone variant. Looks like Crytek's giving the Vetterli 71 a little more love to compete with Centennial when using that Ironite trait. Gotta keep things interesting, right? The Chocanu got some tweaks too. Muzzle velocity for both basic and incendiary ammo has been increased from 100 meters per second to 125 meters a second, making the bolts travel a bit faster. Explosive bolt ammo capacity has been reduced from 10 to 5. Spectre Shotgun saw some animation changes as well. The animation speed has been adjusted to match the faster cycle time from Update 2.2. Plus, the crosshair alignment on many melee weapons has been improved for better hit detection. Now, let's get into some gameplay changes. Crytek's been working on improving network and hit detection. Systematic delay. The delay between shots and damage messages has been reduced. This should help make damage registration feel more responsive, especially in those frustrating shots behind cover situations. Timeout for hit validation. The hit validation timeout has been reduced again, from 800 milliseconds to 450 milliseconds, meaning your shots could feel more on point. Yes, Crytek is yet again touching on trade window timer. We love to see it. Here's an interesting one. Crytek has increased unstick or pullout damage to 42 damage, up from 14 to the upper torso. If you're trying to escape that sticky situation, be careful. You might get a little more than you bargained for. But target unstick damage has been reduced to balance things out. Oh, and Blademaster trait users, no pullout damage for you. It won't apply when using that trait anymore. Moving on to the sealed rewards changes. The spawn chance for sealed cash registers at supply points has been reduced, but there will also be one at the rare supply. Also, sealed weapon boxes have been completely removed from the spawn pool. A pretty big change to hunter traits too. Newly recruited hunters now start with 10 upgrade points instead of 3 random traits, giving you more flexibility right out of the gate. Meanwhile, free hunters will still come with just 1 randomly selected trait. Looks like Crytek's giving us a little more freedom to choose your playstyle. Now let's dive into the big trait adjustments. Here's what's changed. Lightfoot, the solo conditional effect that allowed silent movement while crouched, has been removed. Surefoot trait, the increased crouch speed, has also been removed. Fast Fingers trait, this now applies to the Maynard Sniper and the Martini-Henry families with description updated. Bolt Thrower, it now affects the bomb launcher and lance weapons, reducing their reload times. Plus, switching ammo on a weapon equipped with this trait now uses the faster reload animation. Conduit trait, the solo conditional effect now duplicates all clue effects instead of affecting map progress. Blast Sense trait now detects silent weapons. Silent weapons that don't use subsonic ammo will now show up in dark sight when fired. Note, this does not affect primitive projectiles like bolts or arrows. Yes, Crytek's decided that crouching around silently isn't as important as it used to be. But hey, they still got your back with some fast reloads. Here's a rundown for more trait changes. Serpent, interaction speed in dark sight changed from 10 to 8 seconds. Remedy, interaction speed in dark sight changed from 10 to 8 seconds. Poltergeist, interaction speed in dark sight changed from 1.5 to 1 second. Shadow Leap, interaction speed in dark sight changed from 3 to 4 seconds. Dark Dynamite Satchel, interaction speed in dark sight changed from 2 to 1 second. Blast Sense added the normal progression to rank 1 for 2 upgrade points, and Poltergeist added to the normal progression at rank 62 for 2 upgrade points. Surefoot from 4 upgrade points to 6. Greyhound from 5 to 2, and Determination from 4 to 1. Moving on to equipment. Crytek makes some adjustments to the throwing items for more distinct roles. Throwing knives, weakened against tougher enemies, so no more easy kills on armoreds, and now you'll need headshots to take down cows and horses. Throwing axes, buffed to be stronger against armoreds and Immolators, and the default number has increased from 2 to 3. Throwing spear, now stronger against larger enemies like armoreds and meatheads, but you still only get 1. So if you're thinking you can take down that armored with a knife, think again. Time to throw an axe or spear or power up your strategy. Melee tools, the damage reduction against boss targets has been reverted, so get in there and smash. Melee weapon spawns increased around boss target layers, giving you more options for close combat. Dark Dynamite Satchel, now disarmable and pick-upable if you have a free consumable slot. Always nice to have a backup plan. Concertina plus poison trip mines, they've been fixed to be lethal again. Trapwire spawns, increased consistency and improved placement logic. Bear Trap, impact damage reduced from 82 to 54, so you might survive that trap a bit easier. Stamina and regeneration shots. Duration reduced across the board, with the stamina shot going from 10 minutes to 7 and the weak stamina shot from 5 minutes to 4. Regeneration shots now last 7 minutes instead of 10, and the weak regeneration shot is cut from 5 to 4. It's now clearer who will receive a shot, with a new prompt showing when you're in range of a teammate who can receive the shot. Explosives now go off when in contact with burning hunters, monsters, or environmental fires, like those caused by firebombs or lamps. Watch where you step, or don't if you like things to explode. Crytek made some changes to the arsenal, and we got a mix of new weapons, price adjustments, and some tweaks to weapon stats. Let's dive in. The new additions are: the 1865 Carbine Silencer is now available for $80. The Mosin Oberez match has been added for $345, and the Mosin Oberez Sharp Eye comes in at $362. The price reductions are as follows. Uppercut now costs $310, which is down from $414. Uppercut Precision has dropped to $321 from $425. The Uppercut Deadeye is now $337, down from $446, and the Haymaker sees a price cut from $370 to $279. Now that's a solid saving. Extra ammo for the Krag has been reduced from 12 to 10. The Krag itself now costs $450, up from $345. Krag Bayonet goes to $460 from $355. Krag Silencer is now $517, up from $396, and the Krag Sniper has also been bumped to $517 from $397. Throwing Spear price has been reduced from $150 to $80. A good deal for those who want a bit more throwing power in their arsenal. There have been some slight adjustments to drop ranges for a variety of weapons to make their performances more accurate. Here's a breakdown. Uppercut, all variants, range increased from 60 meters to 65 meters. Dum-Dum ammo. For the Dolch, all variants, range increased from 60 meters to 65 meters. Drilling, medium slot variants, reduced from 110 meters to 105 meters. Maynard, base weapon range, increased from 145 meters to 150 meters. Springfield, large slot variants, range increased from 150 meters to 155 meters. For FMJ ammo, Dolch, all variants, range increased from 60 meters to 65. Drilling, medium slot variants, range reduced from 110 to 105. And Sparks, base and sniper variants, range increased from 120 meters to 125. High velocity ammo, Centennial, large slot variants, range reduced from 160 to 155. Infantry, all variants, range reduced from 175 meters to 170 meters. Vetterli and variants, except Cyclone and Silencer, range reduced from 145 meters to 140. Vetterli Cyclone, range reduced from 125 meters to 120. Spitzer ammo, Mosin Nagant, all variants, range increased from 150 meters to 160 meters. Mosin Oberez, excluding match and sharp eye variants, range reduced from 125 meters to 120 meters. Subsonic ammo, Hive, base and extended, range increased from 55 meters to 60 meters. 1865 Carbine, all variants, range increased from 80 meters to 95 meters. So just to clear the air, these changes aren't about altering how these weapons actually perform. It's all about fine-tuning the drop range statistics so they better reflect how things work in the game. Think of it like making sure the numbers match up with the reality. No performance changes, just a little polish to make things feel more consistent. Hope that clears things up for y'all. Looks like some ammo types are getting a little harder to come by, while others are making a grand return to the shelves. Here's what's up. Scarce ammo. Maynard Sniper Dum-Dum, Crown and King Auto 5 Slug, Dolch 96 FMJ and Dum-Dum, yep, carried over from Update 2.2, Centennial Dum-Dum, also from 2.2, Officer Dum-Dum, you guessed it, 2.2 again. Ammo that's back in stock, Conversion Pistol Dum-Dum, Scotfield Dum-Dum. So time to rethink your ammo stockpile strategies. What's scarce could make all the difference in your next match, and what's back in stock might give you more options to play with. Keep an eye on your ammo. It could get tight out there. Time to shake things up in Bounty Clash. Here's what's new. Max teams reduced. The maximum number of teams in Bounty Clash has dropped from 5 to 4. Less chaos, more strategy. New compounds. 2 fresh compounds, Arden Parish and Darrow Livestock, have joined the rotation. New places to hunt and hide. Get ready to learn the layout. Time of day update. Nighttime has been removed from the time of day pool, so no more hunting in the dark, folks. Event item placements adjusted. Some tweaks to the placement of event items in Lawson Station and Windy Run. The items are still there, just a bit more strategically placed. Extraction point changes. Extraction points on Windy Run and Alice Farm have been shifted around. Plan accordingly, those exits won't be in the same spots. Weekly challenges changes. Here's the twist. Weekly challenges sets are now randomized in the order you unlock them. No more knowing exactly what's coming next. The starting equipment and traits for default hunters have been tweaked. New faces, new gear, new ways to kick off your journey. The 3D weapon viewer has been updated to let you fire the weapon until it's empty before triggering the reload animation automatically. A little more lifelike and less waiting around to see how quickly you can reload. Alright, let's dive into what Crytek's been up to with the audio updates. Underground areas. Crytek slightly reduced the occlusion values in underground areas, including fusees, to improve readability and cut down some edge cases in those spots. Mines of Mammon's Gulch. The occlusion in the mines have been adjusted to be more consistent with other underground areas, making the experience more uniform across the map. Ambience adjustments. The volume of some area ambiances and global ambiances has been reduced to make sure the sound mix is clearer and more balanced. Combat sound cleanup. Ambient one-shot sounds that didn't serve gameplay are now muted during combat, making it easier to focus on the action without extra noise cluttering the scene. Hunter's landing sounds. Crytek improved the landing sounds after a jump or fall. Now, higher falls get more intense sound to match the damage taken, and surface material should register properly on landing. No more weird or repetitive landing sounds after vaulting. Lightfoot trait. The way Lightfoot affects landing sounds remains unchanged, so no surprises there. Now for the finer touches. Chicken coop audio. The sound design for chicken coops has been revamped, making it easier to distinguish between idle, suspicious, and alerted states. Now you'll know exactly what those chickens are up to. Heavy knife melee impacts. New sounds for heavy knife melee impacts have been added, giving every strike a more satisfying thud. Revolver and Spectre shotgun sounds. Crytek made improvements to the revolver volley sounds and Spectre shotgun reload sounds, making them feel even more immersive. Leaking water pipes. The water pipes near Machine Gorge and Mammon's Gulch now have better audio design, adding more depth to the environment. Fire sounds. New fire ember sounds have been added throughout Mammon's Gulch, adding more atmosphere to the area. Hive swarm audio tweaks. The Hive swarm now has reduced volume when it's directly on you, but it gets louder at a distance. The volume of the sound that plays when the Hive swarm locks onto a target has also been increased. These changes should bring even more life to the game's sound design. Hopefully the world sounds more dynamic and immersive. As always, Crytek will be keeping an ear out for your feedback. Alright, here's what's going down with the AI fixes in this update. Some interesting changes across the board. Alice Farm fix. Crytek fixed an issue where boss targets like the Assassin and Spider could attack players by clipping through the roof at Alice Farm. Definitely not how they intended those boss fights to go. The Assassin. Banish bug. Crytek fixed an issue where the Assassin would sometimes disappear right after you start the banish. That's one way to make an exit, I guess, but definitely not the kind of disappearing act you want. Also, the Assassin's body wouldn't just fall to the ground after death, it would literally jump around. No more of that weirdness, though. Invisible clones. If you ever found yourself getting caught by an invisible assassin clone, that's been fixed now. Several instances of the assassin getting stuck have been cleared up, so you can expect a smooth encounter. Now the Butcher. When the Butcher goes into a frenzy, a number of its body parts that break off is now linked to how much health it has left, so you'll see less destruction if it's still got a lot of HP. For example, less than 75% health, only a few pieces breaking off. Less than 50% health, more pieces, more chaos. Less than 25% health, expect the whole thing to break down. Spider. Falling through geometry. Ever had the spider fall to the ground when it died? That's been fixed. No more creepy crawlies disappearing into the earth. Several cases where the spider would just freeze and stand still have also been addressed. Scrapbeak. There were times when Scrapbeak would get stuck, and that's been fixed now. Now when Scrapbeak goes into a frenzy, the amount of times it drops from its backpack depends on how much health it has left. Less than 75% health, first items drops. Less than 50% health, more items drop. On death, all remaining items drop. Wild targets. Wild targets now have a guaranteed 100% spawn rate in single boss target contracts with no sealed horde. You can count on them showing up. There was also an issue where the trait dropped by wild targets would sometimes fall to the ground, making it harder to collect. No more of that either. Rotjaw. Rotjaw drops one bounty token and requires no banish. The corpse remains right there for you to loot. Rotjaw now drops a Scarce trait upon death, adding a little extra incentive to take her down. The issue where other AIs would spawn near Rotjaw has been fixed, so you don't have to deal with any unnecessary distractions. Hellborn. Hellborn's corpse would set off bear traps. Crytek fixed that. Sometimes Hellborn would just stand still and not attack. That's been resolved, so expect some more consistent behavior. The issue where Hellborn's range attack animation would glitch out has been sorted out. Explosive consumables weren't triggering Hellborn's fire attacks properly. That's now been fixed. And Hellborn wouldn't render at a certain distance, and that's been addressed too. Immolator. Immolators now burst when hit by a bomb lance or bomb launcher projectile, so watch out for that fiery explosion. There was an issue where choke bolts would cause immolators to burst on direct hit. No more of that either. Immolators would sometimes slow down unexpectedly, but that's fixed now. Immolators used to keep one hand raised after attacking. Now they've got more realistic animations. And Immolators would sometimes not react to players with the Shadow trait equipped, and that's been corrected. The Hive swarms sometimes went through walls or windows. That's been fixed. No more weird wall-hopping bugs. The Hive wasn't damaging players with the Shadow trait equipped, but that's now been resolved. And the Hive's corpses would sometimes freeze mid-air due to ragdoll issues. That's been fixed with an increased ragdoll duration. Meathead. Meathead's corpse, its colliders weren't aligned properly, but Crytek sorted that out. There were moments when the Meathead would get stuck while chasing hunters, but that's been fixed now. And Meatheads couldn't detect poison hunters with the Shadow trait equipped, and that's been fixed too. Hellhounds. Hellhounds were spawning in spaces that were too small for them, and that's now fixed. So no more Hellhounds in the outhouses. Hellhounds would sometimes slide sideways before jumping to attack. No more of that. Hellhounds would render at certain distances when you were aiming down sights, but that's now addressed. Armoreds. The Armored's ragdoll was reacting incorrectly when killed with a katana, and Crytek's got that sorted out now. The Grunt's death animation would sometimes start from distance, but the Grunt would vanish before the animation finished, and that's now fixed. There you have it, a ton of AI tweaks to make your encounters smoother and more consistent. Hopefully these fixes make things a little less frustrating and a lot more enjoyable. Now there's a guaranteed custom ammo swap box spawn at arsenals and watchtowers. The shooting range has been updated with the new 2.3 equipment for testing and practice. Hunters, there are 167 bug fixes in this update. Yep, you heard right, 167. From UI glitches to gameplay quirks and everything in between, Crytek went all in on cleaning up the mess. We won't read every single one because, well, we'd be here all day. But if you want the full list, check out the patch notes linked in the description. The devs have been hard at work stabilizing the current UI, aiming to smooth out the overall experience and cut down on those frustrating wait times. But they're not stopping there. Future UI changes are already in the works, and if you're wondering what's coming next, we've got you covered. All the known upcoming UI changes can be found in our other video. Links up on the screen now. Alright, credit where it's due. The devs are openly admitting to some pretty major issues still lurking in the game. From crashes and freezes to audio bugs that can turn your all chat into a death wish. These aren't small problems, but they're actively working on fixes, and that honestly deserves some sympathy. At least we know they're not sweeping it under the rug. Rare crashes and freezes occurring during gameplay and or while loading into or out of a mission. Pressing F button while the escape menu during the kill view causes a white screen to appear, resulting in a soft lock in the kill view. Switching from a non-native full screen resolution to windowed mode breaks the render resolution. When the player adjusts any setting during a mission and exit the options menu, many textures reload even if no graphic settings were changed. Performance may decrease when using a lot of dynamic light such as fusees, flares, and star shells. All chat is audible only to enemies, not teammates, regardless of proximity. The master volume slider does not affect Revox volume. Muting a player in-game via the player profile panel doesn't persist when returning to the lobby. The muted player becomes audible a few seconds after regrouping. Players may experience a freeze in bounty hunt when the game suspends during the final 15 seconds of the expiration time and resumes after approximately 30 seconds. Otis Blackwell's first-person posture is crooked, causing parts of his coat to clip into the view when crouching and looking up. And there you have it, hunters. Over 330 changes aimed at refining, fixing, and flat-out improving Hunt Showdown. It's a massive patch, and while it won't magically solve everything overnight, it's a clear sign that Crytek is pushing hard to get this game back on track. Will this be a turning point? Only time will tell. Stay sharp out there. If you're hyped for this and want to stay in the loop with all things Hunt Showdown, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates, breakdowns, and guides. Come hang out with me and the community over on Twitch. I stream Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the bayou or 6 feet under.